the fanatic ones. A fundamentalist Muslim, or let's say a fanatic, a terrorist, they are hiding somewhere in Afghanistan mountains, and the moderate Muslims, they come here, they're among us, and they just keep selling us the lie that Islam is a religion of peace. And all I can say that Islam means submission, by the way. In Arabic, salam means peace. Islam means submission. So from the name of that religion, you can understand that their goal is to conquest the entire world and build their global state on it. And if moderate Muslims don't understand what Islam is all about, I invite them to study the Quran. In fact, I think we need to translate the Quran to the Arabic street language, where Muslims can read it and understand it. Then they have the choice to stay Muslims or become something else. This is the time that we need to stand firm and say, if this is the real nature of Islam, we are against it. If Islam, all of us here, we have death sentence on us regarding to the teachings of the Quran. And if this is for real, we need to stand and say we are against this. If Islam doesn't believe in liberty, doesn't believe in God's free will that He gave to man, we absolutely disagree with that. And if Muslims want to destroy every civilization in order to build their Khilafah or their Islamic state, we are absolutely against that. And we shouldn't be afraid. As I said, Islam is like a big... Islam is like a monster of cartoon. It seems huge and seems powerful, but it's not. We can stand against that. And all the time, as believers in Jesus Christ, we need to ask ourselves this question. If Jesus Christ was here today, not Mosab, not the son of Hamas, not Brother Phil, if Jesus Christ was here today and you asked him about Islam, what do you think about Islam? What do you think about Muhammad? What do you think about the Quran? What our Lord would say? Would he try to be politically correct? I think he would say the truth, maybe in a nice way, but he would say the truth, the way it is.
Good. I want to transition a little bit. I think you'd gotten out of prison one of the first times, and you were walking with a friend of yours, and you were approached by a man from the UK who I think offered you a Bible. And that was kind of an interesting moment in your life, and it was another piece in the big journey of what God was doing to really kind of order your life. And before you answer that, I want to go back. I thought about the 16 months, the short time in prison, but I thought about how God had arranged that because you needed that time in there to be able to have your eyes open to see things that you hadn't seen before. And that sometimes we miss out on what God is doing in our life because it's uncomfortable. We think it must not be of God. Yeah. And yet God has a plan for our life and for our world and our universe that we may not clearly understand, but still He's working all the time. And imagine if you would have had the guy from the UK say, oh yes, in 2010 you're going to be sitting in Yorba Linda, California, and you're going to be telling people about Jesus Christ. That would have been the craziest thought in the world. But let's go back. Let's talk about your conversion, because it was a journey and it was a process, and I think it is for all of us. But let's go back to the UK guy in the Bible.
As I said, after I was released from prison, I started this relationship with the Israeli Shin Bet, my enemies, and we became friends. It was hard to believe, but we really became friends, and they cared about me. I cared about them as human beings, and it was very confusing for me. It was very hard to believe that reality, and it was top secret for me because the price for that relationship is death. If anybody discovered me as even a friend with the Israeli Shin Bet, they wouldn't hesitate to shoot me anytime. Any Palestinian kid has the authority to do something like that. So it was all undercover relationship. And during that time, I was walking in Jerusalem, close to the Damascus Gate. For people who know, who are familiar with the Jerusalem, old city of Jerusalem. And I was walking close to the Damascus Gate, and a tourist was visiting Jerusalem, his church, I think, and he invited me to a Bible study. He was there for 1 week. He had no idea who I was, and I did not speak English. I did not understand English, but I understood that that was something about Christianity. Now, in that moment, I, of course, learned a lot from the first infidels that I met with, who are the Jews. So I said, I have nothing to lose if I go and listen to those Christian infidels this time. Let's see what they have to offer. And the guy had no idea that I was the son of one of the founders of Hamas movement. And he had no idea that I was a Shin Bet agent also. And I invited him, I remember, to my place. And he came to, this was after I went to the Bible study, and they gave me a Bible as a gift. So I said, this time I want to read the Bible because it's a gift. And I was reading the Bible, and when I read the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus Christ said, love your enemy. So try to imagine what I went through and what my enemies became in my life. To read Jesus Christ's words, love your enemy. And I couldn't stop crying that night, because to me, it made perfect sense. If I read that a few years before, I would say, this is an idiot, and I wouldn't even listen, maybe through the Bible on the side, say, how can I love my enemies? You know, it doesn't make sense for normal people. Or let's say people of the world. And to me, at that level, it made perfect sense. And I fell in love with Jesus Christ's teachings, and I studied the Bible more and more. So this British tourist came to my house, and he had no idea that he is in the headquarters of Hamas leadership. We're sitting there, you know, it's like, and he was enjoying the food, you know, and the hospitality, and we're talking about that. I remember I had a dictionary, so he would say a vocabulary, and I would look for the vocabulary to be able to understand what he was saying. This was our conversation. After that, he left back to England. He is a cab driver. And by the way, I heard from him 2 times after that. He sent me a letter. And since then, I didn't hear anything from him. Probably he has no idea what his invitation did in my life. Probably he has no idea that my story became a global story today. And it's just amazing how God works and how he uses me, you, and sometimes we underestimate the call of the Lord, and he takes it to many levels that we cannot even imagine. But during that time, back to the studying the Bible, I saw in Jesus Christ as a great teacher. I couldn't have him as God and Lord and Savior. I had him as a great teacher. I believed in his philosophy, in the principles and concepts of forgiveness and unconditional love. Unconditional love. This is only exclusive to the Christian faith, only. And I was really amazed by that. And of course, I wanted to keep my relationship with the Israeli Shin Bet. And 1 year after, the second Palestinian Intifada started. Now, I was in a relationship with Christian friends, also undercover, being kind of like a Christian undercover, an Israeli agent undercover, with a terrorist appearance. And I would look at myself in the mirror. It's like, who the heck are you? It's just hard to believe. And I wanted to learn. And it was very dangerous adventure. Just to be a Christian, this means putting your life on the line. Just to be a Shin Bet agent, the same thing. So why somebody wanted to do all this? Because I wanted to understand why there was lots of violence in the region. Why did I have to witness all this blood? I was living when I was 9 years old next to a cemetery. And it was like the drain of the blood of the entire West Bank, where everybody who dies or get killed in demonstration or clashes with the Israelis, they would come and be buried next door. So I wanted to understand, who's the reason? Is it only Israel? I don't see that Israelis are thirsty for our blood as Palestinians. They don't want that. They just want to protect their country. And they have the right to do that. So I start to study what's the root of the problem. And I needed to understand that while it was risky and it could get me killed anytime. Now, the second Palestinian Intifada started, and fortunately my father was the leader who started that Intifada with the orders of Yasser Arafat. Now, my father, I have a very good relationship with him, and he's an amazing father, an amazing man. I'm talking on the personal level. I'm not talking about his ideology that I am against it. I am against his God, but I'm not against my father. I love my dad. He's an amazing man, and I love my family. I love the Muslim people. I'm not against Muslims. I'm not against any, let's say, against any nation. I'm against bad ideas. I'm against bad ideologies. And I think that Islam is a bad ideology, and the God of Islam is a terrorist. He mandates killing. He's the head of terrorists. And if I have a problem, I don't have it with a small terrorist. I don't go look after for people who work for the police. I don't go look after the street drug dealers. I want the main man, the gangster. And the God of Islam is the gangster. And my problem is with him in order to be able to get back to my family and to liberate them from this darkness. Now, during that time, I was invited to all Yasser Arafat meetings with the Palestinian factions. And Yasser Arafat would offer me food, and he would kiss me, and I would wipe my face, and he would get mad, and my father would get embarrassed, and he would never invite me again for this type of meetings. But I was hanging out with all type of people who were behind the Palestinian Intifada, and I could, at some level, know that a suicide bomber is heading to kill innocent people after 5 hours. And I could stop that. Now, the Israeli Shin Bet, of course, invested a lot in this, and we worked together to stop killing many innocent people. I didn't count. Media said hundreds, and I don't claim that. And I think I did not save anybody because I was smart. I saved people's lives because God worked through me, and because I obeyed his orders of not killing even a terrorist. So during that time, we were going down the road of solving lots of puzzles regarding to terrorist groups. And when we talk about Hamas, it's a very complicated organization. For people who got the chance to read the book, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very complicated organization with infrastructure, with schools, hospitals, and lots of charity work, that it's not easy to get rid of them. It's not easy just to kill them with a missile. It's not easy to destroy them, because in order to destroy them, you have to destroy an entire society.